Port Hacking High School, and my body of work is called Flow State, which is a collection of acrylic paintings. My work Flow State features me in a body of water. So there's 5 different canvases. It starts in the middle as a large one, and then it gets smaller and smaller, which encapsulates the energy and collectiveness of being in a flow state of mind. I just love being in water. I find it such like a quiet place, and when you're underwater you're like engulfed in its silence, and it's kind of like nothing else exists, and time ceases to exist, and it's in your own space and no one can touch you. So I found that a really safe space, and I wanted to explore that a bit more. So by taking photos of myself in the space and then replicating that with painting, it kind of merged the 2 loves and the 2 escapes that I really enjoy. So being underwater and holding paint and being able to use it, because I find it the same consistency, like to be able to hold a paintbrush and use its thickness and the way it moves on a page is the same as like your hand running through water. But I'm also a swim teacher, so it's really exciting to see kids enjoy the way I love water as well, and teach them that water, yes, it's a survival skill, but also it's something really enjoyable. It really helped actually being able to go to work and then come home and paint, because it was like I was reliving that painting, like I was taking my experience from the day and putting it into the artwork. I used acrylic paint, which was given to me by my grandma, so I didn't have to didn't have to buy anything, which I'm very fortunate about. Both of my grandmothers did painting, so I found them also a bit of an inspiration. I find the flow state of mind is quite peaceful and energetic. It's very hyper-focused, and I felt like the only way I could express that was through colour, because it's such a, being in a flow state of mind is such an intangible space, and I felt like the only way I could display that was through the blending and collectiveness of colour. I started with like a totally different concept. I was going to do like a ceramics with like sound effects, something to do with like Harry Potter. It was a whole spiral. But then I got stuck on, it wasn't initially about being in the flow state of mind, it was just the fact that I loved being in water and I loved being engulfed in its silence. And I kind of went with that, and my teacher really supported me and told me like, no, go with this is the right thing to go with. She kind of knew that I would figure it out. I tried to go on a realist route, and then it turned into something totally different just because I didn't like the way it was going, I didn't like the way the colours were moving, but I just kept going with it. But I started the first painting, and it took me like, I would say like 2 months to actually get into like the style of what I wanted to do. The canvases were getting a bit tired because I just kept going over them and going over them. The challenges in my work, personally with myself, because I'm such a perfectionist, if one work didn't look like the other, I would get really frustrated. So growing patience and also consistency, because there would be days where I would come home and be like, no, I do not want to paint for 2 hours each night. But just getting down, once you get into it as well, like I would sit there and be like, I do not want to paint today, and then I would sit there and then 3 hours would go past because I forced myself to go into the flow state of mind and not being hard on myself when I would make a mistake or paint would splatter on the canvas, and I'd be like, oh, I just ruined everything, and I'd have to restart. Yay.